Welcome back to the Unknown Theories podcast, 2025 edition, where we talk about Star Wars, Marvel, everything in between. I am Taylor, your first host.
And I am Kris. You can call me Oddball.
And we are going to talk at length about everything we've missed in the past 2 years.
It's been a minute. Wow. It's been a while. We're back in the booth.
So back in the booth, we got a little bit of a different setup. We're a little older, a little wiser, a little more experience under our belts. And we thought, you know what? It has been a minute. We wanted to start up the podcast again, definitely sooner than this. We even had ideas of doing a different style podcast. But with Star Wars Oddball over here moving, we decided to kind of just do this again.
Yeah, dive back into
from
it.
Distance. Yeah, kind of get our feet back in the water.
Yeah, I think both of us have really been diving into content creation. Well, of course, plug our separate Twitch and YouTube and all that stuff. Definitely at the end, and we'll have that in the description for you guys to go check out. But we've been doing some more stuff. Like I started a podcast with our younger brother Colby, who goes by Locke in that podcast, called Flight Control. I know you've been going hard on your Twitch channel and YouTube. You're multi-streaming now, so that's awesome.
I started.
Yeah. So we've both been just kind of like diving back into the content. Obviously, I've had some big life changes and took a break there for a minute, on top of the break that we already had on this podcast.
Yeah.
So
I don't think our viewers of Unknown Theories, if there's any that come back to this, know your big life change.
Yeah.
If you do want to
yeah,
share.
For sure. I had a baby. My wife and I, we had our son was born last year, September 7th. Super exciting. So it's been crazy. That's been life altering. And then we moved across the country to the Midwest, and we're living there now instead of the good old Pacific Northwest, where
all right, let's just dox your whole position where you're at. Let's get the address. Let's get the
I've talked about it before in my other stuff, so I mean it's out there. I have nothing to hide.
I technically have made a move since our last podcast as well.
Oh, true. Yeah, you have.
I moved further out of the city and further into nature. I live right next to a lake now.
Yeah.
It's very nice, and it's secluded.
We'll post his address for you guys.
Yeah. Well, we'll get a PO box.
Yeah.
There we go. We'll get our we'll get a fan mail.
Yeah, there you go. It's kind of crazy.
But yeah,
crazy stuff, honestly.
Yeah, a lot of stuff have happened over the last couple of years, but we still, in the back of our heads, remember fondly all of our unknown theories that we had for 2 years straight. We went hard. Was it like once a week for 2 years straight?
Yeah, we started out recording in person because I didn't have like any equipment to record, so we just did with your mic. We just sat around and talked, and that was pretty fun. Obviously, if you go back to those early episodes, the audio wasn't the best, just because of
it wasn't the best. It's true.
How we had to record. But once I got like my equipment, the production got a little bit better, and it's awesome.
Yeah, we started doing it over Discord.
Yep.
The old Craig bot, remember?
Yeah, old Craig bot.
You would talk to us. I still have that Discord channel open with us in it.
That's true, yeah. That's good.
Fun. But now we have this that we're talking through, a whole studio thing on here.
Yeah, Streamlabs.
I didn't even know about this.
Yeah, no, I signed up for the Ultra last year, I think it was. This came with it, and it's pretty sweet. I like it. You can also do live streaming through it as well.
Oh, nice.
But eventually, maybe. What was that?
Oh, live studio stuff.
Yeah, exactly. I think we did a live stream after a movie or a TV show.
We've done 2 live streams. They're still on my YouTube channel to this day. We talked about, I think, Multiverse of Madness.
Nice.
And Thor, Love and Thunder.
Thor, Love and Thunder. Wow. Okay, that's
interesting movies. But
I mean, yeah. So I guess that can kind of lead us into what we're talking about today. So we wanted to start with some our favorite projects that happened last year, and then some of our like least favorite stuff, some of the stuff that disappointed us, and then we're going to talk about the stuff that we're looking forward to. And in between we can talk about
right.
I guess little shows that maybe one of us didn't watch or maybe you did or stuff like that, because I know that you do a little film critiquing on the side through Letterboxd and stuff. Just you dabble in it.
It's kind of like how they always say you have to have like a refined palate for certain things, or like develop a palate for certain things. I have put myself through the movie ringer. I'm watching so much.
Your catalog's got to be long.
Yeah, if anybody wants to check out my Letterboxd, it'll be in the description of this.
There's going to be so many plugs, so many links.
Yeah, so many links, getting everybody back into it, But you can always go there and check. If you're someone that knows me in person, I usually post it to my social medias as well for my yearly wrap up of my top 10, which I'll go over in this podcast. Yeah. But yeah, do you want to start off with some of the stuff that you liked from last year, and then we can kind of like, if we both saw it, then I can share my thoughts after you give your thoughts for whatever project.
Yeah, I have 6 projects that I liked in terms of like 3 movies. There's 3 movies I liked and 3 TV shows, and then there's 3 things that kind of annoyed me last year. So I mean, starting off with movies that I liked, Deadpool and Wolverine came out last year. I really enjoyed that film. I think looking back on it, I don't think it was like a really tight film in terms of like its script and writing, but it was so much fun to just like watch, and seeing Deadpool and Wolverine together, and them fighting, all that stuff. Yeah, it was cinema. It was great. I don't know. I really like that movie, and I don't think it's perfect in any way, shape, or form, and but regardless, it was like a bright light in terms of like all the Marvel movies that had came out before that, because Phase 4 was pretty rough. So yeah, what do you think of Deadpool and Wolverine?
Was this still part of Phase 4, or is this part of Phase 5?
I think it's part of Phase 5. Technically,
I don't remember. I think the transition was Quantumanium, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that was because that was supposed
which was our last podcast.
Yeah, that was supposed to be like, hey, we're in Phase 5. So yeah, I guess Phase 4, Phase 5 have been kind of rough. Is where I'm at.
Deadpool, Wolverine, a stellar Marvel movie, returning to form a bit. I loved the self-deprecating humor at Marvel that Kevin Feige allowed to go through, and all the other higher-ups there at Marvel and Disney. I liked Hugh Jackman coming back. He put in his all. Ryan Reynolds as well. And also, I feel like every single one of the cameos that they had, of course, I'm not going to mention any of the cameos. Maybe there's some people that listen to this and they're like, hey, I want to check out Deadpool and Wolverine because these two chuckleheads on the internet said it's good. But anyways, they weren't too like, what's the right word? Like gratuitous, like for like their nostalgia baiting or whatever.
Definitely, yeah.
It felt like just right. Like they were a good send off to the Fox universe, without saying too much. And yeah, I really liked
I completely agree. I think those cameos worked really well, and they were enjoyable to see. And I think a lot of the fans really like. I remember being in theaters, like people were shouting and cheering, which I hadn't like really felt in a long time.
I'm trying to even think. What was some movies that came out in 2023? So I think that was the year we ended our podcast. We watched Quantumanium that year. Was Black Panther 2 also that year? I
think so.
Or no, or was that the year before? Yeah. I don't know. Anyways, but I mean, it just did not go well for that run for a bit. And then, I mean, talking on another end, I know we talk about Star Wars a lot, but there was another project. I'll go into my first one that I was going to talk about, which is Dune Part 2.
Oh, yeah.
that came out. Did we ever make a podcast on Dune Part 1? We had to
I
have.
think we did.
Let me scroll through.
I think
this
we
real
did.
quick.
We'll check through our.
Yeah. I'll check through later. But yeah, there might be one on Dune Part 1 that we did. I would believe that we would have done that. But Dune Part 2, a fantastic film.
Yeah.
Probably it is my number one of the year.
Oh, okay.
You lagged out for a second there, not me.
Oh, my bad.
Unless I was lagging out, let me know.
No, that might have been me.
But you're good now. Anyways, Dune Part 2, my favorite movie of the year, which, it lived up to the hype. It delivered. I watched it in IMAX twice. No, once. I watched it in like RPX once. I watched it in regular once. Speaking of which, Deadpool Wolverine, number 4 on the year for my favorite movies.
Oh, awesome. Yeah.
So it is in my top 5. But so Dune Part 2, fantastic movie. If you have seen Dune Part 1 and you were bored of it, all I got to say is Dune Part 1 is the diet that you take before you have your summer body, which is Dune Part 2.
There you go. Yeah, I think for me, like, I really enjoyed Dune Part 2. The first one, less so. And I think together, you know, they work really well as a whole movie, like as a whole story. Obviously, right. You know, there's Dune Messiah that they can go off of just to close it out as like a trilogy, I know. But as like a 2-movie experience, I think they work really well together. I think there are some aspects of it, you know, that I definitely wish were different, but, you know, like I wish we got to see a little bit more of the final act of like the battle and everything like that, because I felt like it was a lot of build up to that, and it was epic. Like, it was really awesome seeing a lot of the stuff, you know, the Fremen charging and then the worms coming through the mountains after the nuke goes off. Like, that was crazy. That was awesome. But then all of a sudden it's just like you're in the throne room, they got the Emperor, and then that epic duel and stuff, and it's like that happened so fast. I was like, dang, I wish I could have seen that. And I know the books glance over a lot of that stuff too. You know, Frank Herbert kind of just like goes right over that.
He didn't care about the combat.
Yeah, exactly. I think just cinematically it would be cool to see more of that. But Dune Part 2 is awesome. A fantastic movie. I think it's like, it's so pleasing too to see, like, you know, you see the world of the Harkonnens and everything like that. That was really cool to see. It's like very black and white, obviously. Just all the actors too just do phenomenal. And Dune Part 2 is great.
Definitely. So yeah, that's mine. You had another movie or TV show you wanted to bring up next?
Yeah. I saw War of the Rohirrim with my wife, and you know, it wasn't like I didn't leave the movie theater feeling the same way I do after I watch Lord of the Rings. But I think that's a high bar to set in terms of like comparison, you know, because Lord of the Rings trilogy is like perfect in my mind. Like, I feel like it's the best trilogy of all time, and it's hard to compare, you know, an anime Lord of the Rings movie to that, you know.
And maybe you shouldn't compare them either.
No, exactly. And I don't think you should, but I think unfortunately, because it has that Lord of the Rings title to it, it's like drawing, it's unfortunately drawing that comparison because it's putting itself in the same vein. It's just same with like a Star Wars. Like, you do a Star Wars movie, it's going to be compared, unfortunately. But I think it was cool. I think some of the animation looked amazing at times. Other times it looked like it was rushed. And then, like, I heard some stuff in the background that they did actually rush the project a lot. Production went a lot faster than maybe it should have been. They should have taken their time. But other than that, I liked it. I think it's a good entry to the Lord of the Rings catalog, but I don't think it did anything like groundbreaking for the series. as a whole, but it was a lot better than Rings of Power did. It did a lot more than Rings of Power did for the
We'll
fandom.
definitely get back into that when
Goodness.
we get to our negatives of
Oh yeah.
2024. Let's see. On my list of movies, I had a lot of non-Marvel stuff. I mean, it was fantasy. It was pretty good. It was pretty scary. I liked Nosferatu.
Mm.
Came out Christmas time. Just for any movie buffs that like those kinds of movies,
Yeah.
highly recommend it. But not to glance over that, or to glance over that real quick, I will say another movie that was in my top 10 was Furiosa.
Oh yeah, I heard
Do
about.
you ever watch like Mad Max and stuff? Have you watched Fury Road? I don't
Oh yeah, I
remember.
did. It's fantastic.
Okay, so this is a prequel, and it was very good. I enjoyed it a lot,
Okay, that's good.
and kind of got that blockbuster feel like Marvel and Star Wars and Dune and all of that.
Nice.
So yeah, that was pretty fun. Like I said, there's not been much. What Marvel movies even came out last year?
It was
I
just
don't
Deadpool and
remember.
Wolverine. That was the sole movie.
Oh right, it was like a slow year.
2023 had Quantumania, Black Panther, and the Marvels, and then there's Spider-Man
Right,
Across the Spider-Verse, which
right, which is
that
incredible. Part two, right?
yeah,
Or was that
well,
part
it's a
one?
part two, yeah, two,
Yeah, yeah. Part two of a part three.
yeah, part two of a part three. Let's just call it a trilogy, okay? But I hear we're not even getting that third one till like 2029, dude. Like
No
they're
way.
pushing it way out.
But I mean, animation does take a lot longer than a regular movie.
Yeah, it just sucks for the fans
It does
to
suck.
do that, you
Yeah.
know. Especially like when I mean, Lord of the Rings came out year to year. Like, I don't know.
Hmm.
And that's like one of the greatest,
Right.
like I said before, it's the greatest trilogy, you know. I don't know. I don't
Yeah.
want to
No.
rush the artist either, you know.
Yep.
Good art takes
You want
time.
them. You want them to be able to cook.
But yeah,
Right.
2023 had some not so good Marvel movies except for that Spider-Man one.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, and then what was I gonna say? Talking about there was like Star Wars that came out and stuff. I don't know. Anyways, um, what else do you got? Because I don't think you saw
No,
Furiosa,
I
but
don't have many movies that I mean, I kind of stick to my fandoms in terms of the movies. Like, if there's a Marvel movie coming out, I'll go see it. You know, if there's a sci-fi movie that looks interesting, I'll go out there. And then
mhm,
obviously fantasy stuff. But for the most part, yeah, I kind
right.
of just stuck to like those are like kind of the three that I really enjoyed: Deadpool, Dune,
Hmm.
and War of the Rohirrim. Show wise, I really enjoyed Shogun. In terms of like a
Oh,
non-Marvel or just like nerdy property. That's honestly like one of the best shows I've seen in a long time. It's really good, and
mm.
yeah, I don't know if you've seen it.
I have not seen it yet. I do plan on seeing
Yeah.
it. I'm also I'm nitpicking myself in my camera right now. It looks because of my shadow. It looks like I have a lazy eye right now.
Oh,
So I'm
you're like,
trying to
wait, hold on.
I'm like freaking myself
Yeah.
out.
No. Yeah, Shogun's fantastic. It obviously, if there's anyone listening that's seen it, they know what I'm talking about. It's a really well written show, super competent, super
Hmm.
interesting, and yeah, it was really surprising. I just remember like, I know it wasn't like groundbreaking in terms of viewership, but like the viewership it did get was like everybody just the critical acclaim for that show is
Right?
phenomenal,
Yeah.
and the actors in it too is well done. Yeah, overall like that, it's a
There's,
fantastic show. Well worth your
yeah.
time.
I only heard good things about it. It won a lot of awards at the Golden
Yeah, it
Globes,
did.
and they've already done the Emmys as well, and the Emmys. I think it won a lot as well.
Yeah.
Um, I think the only thing we have left is Oscars. But what was I going to say? The one issue with streaming is you'll just never have the same amount of people watching a show unless it's like Netflix, because Netflix has been around the longest. So it has the biggest crowd to kind of pull from for viewership wise.
I mean,
There was this. Well, there's a stat that I was
Yeah.
hearing from someone, and they were saying that the most watched show in America, based on like Nielsen records and stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that, is The Rookie. Have you heard of The Rookie?
Is that just the U.S.? Because I'm gonna disagree. The
Yeah.
most watched show is
No,
Bluey
no, no.
in terms of minutes
Okay.
watched.
Well, sure, sure, sure. But no, no, the most watched by Nielsen rating, like eyes watching like a show,
I've never heard of The
like they might.
Rookie.
So it's a normal cable show that's still around. I think it's probably on one of those streaming services. I think it's like NBC or CBS, one of those,
Hmm.
and maybe CBS. But it is Nathan Fillion
Hmm.
as a cop.
Oh, interesting.
He's a rookie cop, and then it's like the whole story. It's like a procedural, like cop show or something like that.
Nice.
And it's the most watched. But I heard that stat when I was watching a guy talk about Severance.
Oh, okay. Another fantastic
which we
show.
can talk about
Yeah.
Severance. It's like probably the best show on TV right
Oh,
now,
easily.
and no one watches it.
Easily.
No one
Well,
watches
no one.
it
It's
'cause
on Apple TV. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why.
Yeah.
But it's just like, yeah. Anyways, so
I can understand that, but also then there's like the stats of like Game of Thrones and House of the Dragons, like the numbers they're pulling are
yeah,
insane.
but that was also on cable, HBO cable.
Well,
Kinda
yeah, but it's
packaged
also
in
like
with
on
cable.
Max, you know.
Sure, sure. And but also Max is, again, since it was on cable, kind of like as a special deal. Same with Stars and stuff like
Mhm.
that. They had a longer time to pull than things like Hulu and Disney, which Disney does have a huge pull. I'm not saying it doesn't. I'm just saying like it's just tough
Yeah.
to fight those.
It's
numbers they
interesting
used to
because
have.
like I looked at the top 10 for like most watched shows, and obviously Bluey is number one in the world. Grey's Anatomy is like number two. And
Do you know what's crazy about Bluey?
what?
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say,
Oh,
with these like shows, a lot of them they have a lot of seasons, they have a lot of episodes and stuff like that. So a lot of the shows that we're talking about, like Shogun, like we're gonna be talking about Penguin, you know, Acolyte, X-Men '97. A lot of them are like such new shows, and like back in the day, cable shows went on for like 23 episodes a season. You know, and they would be every year there would be a new season. Whereas now we have shows like look at Invincible, took like 2 years in between season 1 and season 2, and then they had that split in the middle of the season, and
lost so many
they lost so
fans.
many. But like thankfully, like season 3 has been banging. It's really good so far. So that I guess that's another show I forgot to put on my
That's
list.
another thing we could talk about for 2025.
Yeah. So it's interesting.
But no, the crazy thing about Bluey, most minutes watched, and each episode is like 10 minutes, isn't it?
Oh yeah, trust me, I put it on for my son sometimes. If I need to like just like
You're just
quickly like do
watching.
a chore, you know, I just throw an episode on, and yeah, they're only 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And even other than Bluey, they have Bluey mini episodes, which are just like snippets. Those are even shorter. They're like 5 minutes long, or like 3
That's
minutes.
crazy.
And so you
Yeah.
think about like it's got
Oh.
152 billion minutes watched or something like that, or 52 billion or something. I don't know.
Well,
That's
yeah, I mean, just look at
insane.
Coco Melon on YouTube.
That's insane.
Mhm.
Yeah,
All
exactly.
those children YouTube channels have so many billions of views.
Oh yeah, Mrs.
And
Rachel.
YouTube
Like,
videos are like 2 minutes. Yeah, absolutely.
yeah.
So, I mean, that's a whole separate part of like televised things, like children's stuff. It gets put on repeat and just gets going.
Dude, yeah. Because kids can
But I think
rewatch
that-
like crazy and they won't even
I
care.
think that's why they would consider other shows as more watched. Because even if it has the most minutes, it's only being watched by a certain amount of people.
For sure.
Only parents with kids are watching these shows.
Yeah, but you also think of like the
So-
marketing behind these. Like there's Bluey
Oh, yeah.
kids toys and like things like that. Like Bluey makes
yeah.
Disney makes the company money just
Yeah.
being on
Oh,
there.
for sure. Right.
Which we should
so yeah,
we should
anyways,
talk about streaming platforms later on in the episode.
Yeah, I think that can tie into our kind of fandom talk that we want to.
Yeah, we can kind of burn through
But-
the rest of my TV shows.
Yeah, I was going to hop over to
Oh,
mine
yeah,
real
go
quick.
ahead.
Is you shared your TV show, I'll share mine. Penguin 2024, a very good TV show. I loved it. It's like I mean, it's just so cool. It's in the Batman universe from the Robert
Matt
Pattinson,
Reeves.
Matt Reeves Batman, and there's no Batman, and it's still just as good, if not better, in different
Nice.
ways. I mean, of course, you have the Cape Crusader in a show or a movie, it's going to pull insane numbers. But just the fact that they can make a show in the universe of Batman, not even talk about him, and it's that good that Colin Farrell wins an award,
Yeah.
and I think even I can't think of her name right now.
She plays Sophia.
Yeah, Sophia. She even won some acclaimed awards from this so far.
What I would say about Penguin though is it goes back to that issue we talk about with streaming, the lack
Hmm.
of viewership, which is just unfortunate.
Yep.
Because like a show that good, same with like a show like Andor, just doesn't get viewership,
Hmm.
even though like they're so well written.
Yep.
Shogun is in the same boat.
If they had Batman in it, I think it would have done
Oh, for sure, it
numbers,
definitely would have.
but it would have taken away from the story.
Yeah, no, for sure.
So you get like this tug of war.
Yeah.
It's really
No, I've
interesting,
heard I've
but
heard really good things about Penguin. I haven't seen it personally. I'm not really interested in it, but like I've heard
mhm,
good things, and that's awesome that the Matt Reeves like universe. I really like that portrayal of Gotham, so it's cool to see
mhm.
them delve further into
Yeah.
that.
If any of you listening liked a show like Sopranos, you would definitely like The Penguin.
Oh
And I
yeah,
know that'd be for people that watched that show way back in the early 2000s,
yeah,
before Game of Thrones and before HBO got big. Sopranos and The Wire were holding up HBO by their bootstraps.
yeah. I still hear people talk about Sopranos.
Hmm.
So,
Yep.
um,
So, anyways, you can jump into your next
yeah,
show.
X-Men '97. Speaking of like
Mm.
animation films, fantastic. It blew me away. I watched a little bit of X-Men '95 or the just original X-Men cartoon that happened back in the
Mhm.
'90s, and I've seen little bits of it. It's pretty good. It's definitely a little more campy. This though felt like tight, like it felt good. Like Cyclops, the way they can make you, Cyclops was done so dirty in the X-Men movies. A lot of the characters in those X-Men movies get done dirty, but Cyclops just never got the attention that he deserved. He's like such an awesome
Mhm.
leader, up there with like Captain America and stuff, Scotty Summers. But I really liked X-Men '97. What they did with Gambit in that show. I don't want to spoil it for anyone that hasn't seen it. Go watch X-Men '97. It's so good. And yeah, it's just a wonderful show. Magneto's incredible. Oh my goodness.
Right.
Yeah, I can't gush about it more. The mutants are coming to the MCU eventually. This is a good way to
Mhm.
like get familiarized with the characters and like
The
understand.
mutants are already here.
I mean, yeah, they're already here, but like none of like the
Miss
X-Men
Marvel.
are here,
Oh,
Yeah.
right, right.
Other than like Deadpool and
Technically,
Wolverine.
Namor is a mutant. Right?
Yeah, Namor is technically a mutant. He's supposed to be like
Um,
the first, other than like
well, he was the
Apocalypse.
first in the
Yeah,
comic.
in the comics.
That's why they call him the
But
first.
Apocalypse is supposed to be like the first. Yeah. But anyways,
Hmm.
yeah, X-Men '97, fantastic. And I don't know, you didn't
Right.
watch it, did you?
I did not watch it.
Oh
I
yeah.
felt weird because I hadn't watched. I know you don't need to watch the original
Yeah, not at
X-Men
all.
cartoon to watch X-Men '97, but I felt weird because I hadn't fully watched that.
Mm, interesting.
And there were other shows that I was watching at the time. I know you were gushing about it so much, it almost turned me into just that big contrarian. I was like, "You like it so much, I'm not gonna watch it." This is like one
Ridiculous.
of those things, which is ridiculous, but I will check it out eventually.
Yeah.
I think I have to kind of find the right place. It's tougher for me, especially with me doing more content creation stuff, like we were talking about in the
Hmm.
beginning. I'm streaming a lot more. A lot of my free time goes to
Yeah.
that, and then my wife and I have our shows that we watch together,
Fair
and
enough.
so they're never animation. Yeah. But a TV show that I will gush about that came out last year, just to keep on the animation drive of
Yeah.
yours, is Arcane season two.
Yep.
the conclusion of the Arcane storyline that they started in the League of Legends universe. One of the best adaptions of a video game. I think what they're learning now about video game adaptations from video games to movies is don't make a one-to-one copy of the video game to a movie, because a video game is good because you're in control of the character. There's not enough cutscenes to make it good. What it needs is a little bit of flavor and to transform it. Don't let it be exactly the same. I think one of the only ones that did really well was Last of Us, where it was like a one-to-one rip-off, but that's because
rip-off?
It kind of was. Not rip-off. No, like a one-to-one copy of the video game to like a rendering. I don't know.
Yeah.
Retelling.
No, I get what you're saying.
In a different medium.
Yeah.
But like Arcane has nothing to do with League of Legends except characters. And even with that, they transformed the characters. They had an insane 2-season run of a show. You can't gush about that enough. I can't gush, and probably 5 people that you know, anybody listening, can't stop gushing about. Because it was so big on Netflix.
It was good, yeah. It's definitely something that I want to watch. I see memes a lot about it, and it's like League of Legends universe. Like, you watch Arcane, you're cool. You play League of Legends, not cool.
You're a psycho.
Yeah.
That's me.
Yeah.
No, just kidding.
No, but I hear good things about it. I hear it's like an artist show. Like, it's like a show for like artists and like creative people, because like it just like has so much of that passion built into it. That's another show that took forever in between seasons, just because of the animation,
the art
and
style,
everything like that.
Everything, yeah.
But it'll be interesting.
They were faster than they were. Oh, sorry.
No, I was just gonna say it'll be interesting what they do in that League of Legends universe next, because I know that her Jinx's story is closed, or whoever.
Yeah. They already did announce 3 different areas of the League of Legends world that is already established.
Nice.
And they're planning 3 different shows for those areas. So, and then they did for the video game, they did a cinematic for the new season that started this year.
Oh, cool.
And they've already, they did it in the animation style of Arcane.
Oh, that's sick.
Kind of showing some new characters that are probably going to be in the next show.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But I was going to say that animation time is crazy, and we can talk about that with Invincible if you want to for some 2025 stuff. But I think I've gone over most of the stuff I want to talk about from 2024.
The last thing I'll add is Secret Level was really cool, and that came out the end of last year, and it had basically it was like an anthology series of like a bunch of different video game universes. You know, you had Warhammer, you had Armor Core, you had Pac-Man, which was that was a weird one.
That was a crazy one.
You just had a lot of different like game universes, and it was pretty interesting. It was in I think it was the same creators that did Love, Death, and Robots on Netflix. They obviously switched over to Amazon Prime to do this show, and I enjoyed some of the other episodes. I don't think I finished all of them, but what people are like losing their minds over is the Warhammer 40K short with Titus, Lieutenant Titus. Oh my goodness. That is if you don't know anything about Warhammer 40K and you want to get into it, I would start with watch that episode of Secret Level, the Warhammer one. Watch Astartes on YouTube, and you'll get the vibe, you'll get the feel of what Warhammer is all about.
And if you play
Grim
video
Darkness.
games, play the Space Marine games.
Yes.
Specifically
1 and 2,
Space Marine 2.
Fantastic.
But yeah, 1 is also great.
Yeah. 1 still holds
and if
up
you're
in the
into
Warhammer community.
If you're into strategy games, there's a lot of Warhammer strategy games out there as well. Total War Warhammer, that's more of the fantasy stuff, but then there's also the 40K stuff. Some
I think
RTSs.
it's Age of Dawn, or what's it called? I'm trying to think. But Secret Level, fantastic. I heard him. Good old
you hear him?
Drogo.
Okay. I might have to open the door for him. But yeah, I agree. This secret level was good. I think the one thing that I was kind of disappointed in was the length of the episodes and some of the stories that they chose to do.
For sure. I think
they
there
got
was some
like
letdowns.
core theming, but
yeah, they definitely did something pretty unique with the Pac-Man episode. That was pretty cool, like the imagination behind it. I thought the Warhammer one was solid, a solid A plus in my opinion. The Armor Core was interesting, and then there was that robot arena one, the
Unreal Tournament.
Yeah, Unreal Tournament. That episode's really good too.
Oh, I didn't see that one.
It's very Asimov. I know that
there was like a
in terms of like the robots and stuff.
Interesting.
Yeah, I really liked it. It reminded me of iRobot.
Oh, iRobot. Okay.
Yeah, that's a good episode too.
Yeah, I think the Spelunky one was pretty good. It was really quick, but it kind of got over the theming of what Spelunky is. I think I also had a different idea of what each of these episodes would have been.
Okay.
So I think that was kind of part of the problem is, expectation versus reality.
Yeah.
We can expect something to be a certain way, and the reality is always usually going to be different.
Yeah, for sure.
But at the same time, we are the Unknown Theories podcast.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to be talking about all the unknown theories that are out there.
What could have been.
And what could have been, what did happen, what could happen in the future. Because I think they're going to do another season.
No, yeah, definitely. And then Warhammer itself has its own universe to be created. But speaking of what is coming in the future, anticipated projects of 2025. You want to lead us into that?
Yeah, sure. I'm just going to say it right now. Probably my most anticipated project of this year is Superman.
All right.
Yeah, I think
the derpy-eyed Superman flying through the Arctic.
Oh
no, I'm just kidding.
Well,
I'm just talking about the memes.
I think every single Superman has tried a flying scene, and none of them.
Man of Steel killed it. Man
of
Steel has the
good,
best
but also,
flying scene I've seen of any super.
Yeah. But anyways, I mean, we haven't seen it in its full glory
exactly
in the show. But I think James Gunn has proven himself as a director of superhero projects.
Yeah.
That was another one. I don't know. It was after we stopped. Guardians of the Galaxy 3.
That was 2023
Volume
as well.
3. Oh, okay. Yeah, but I think it was after we stopped.
And that was good. That was a good movie. It wasn't my favorite of the Guardians trilogy, but it was good. It was a little a little too much body horror, and
you didn't like the body horror
and the animal violence. I just like it's tough. I can see someone get their butt whooped all day long, but if it's an animal getting hurt, I'm like, nope, can't do it. I don't know what it is.
I think one of my favorite things about it, and a lot of people have said this after they've watched it as well, is the idea of having a villain for a superhero movie that isn't redeemable in today's climate. Because I swear every movie we watch has had some sort of like not necessarily redeemable quality, but like I get it why he's a bad guy. Like Thanos, I get that he wants to save the universe, but he's doing it the wrong way.
I think we as a society, and also like the creators of a lot of the shows now, do a lot of deconstruction, and so they break down like why this character is the way they are, like does it make sense, things like that. So I think that's a problem sometimes with certain characters. Like not everybody needs to be deconstructed to the level that
what's his name again?
Who?
Guardians of the Galaxy 3?
The High Evolutionary.
High Evolutionary.
Yeah,
I kept wanting to say Maker, and I'm like, not yet.
Dude, he did really good. That actor, really good bad guy.
Yeah, he was in Peacemaker. I know you only watched one episode and then stopped with that because of some content that is in the show. Fair enough, but he was specifically chosen by James Gunn to be the High Evolutionary after playing in that show.
Yeah. I mean, that's another thing that people are kind of annoyed by James Gunn, is he only hires people he knows or has like done projects.
I mean,
like, I get it.
So as every director.
Yeah.
Did you see the still for one of the movies coming out next year?
The what?
Like a movie still, a picture from a movie that is coming soon from Christopher Nolan?
No, I haven't.
Matt Damon, who's been in Interstellar, has been in so many Christopher Nolan movies.
Sure, yeah.
He never is going to be in the new Odyssey. That's true, but I mean, I'm just saying, overall, like, every director gets people that they like, and they bring them back for multiple films.
People are also just like, I don't know. It's interesting with James Gunn. You know, the more high profile you get, the more exposure you get, the more people that are going to throw shade at you. Mm-hmm. And I think people are just like,
right.
He's like keeping people from the DC universe, the DCEU, and putting them in there. Just like specific people and like characters, like his wife, he's bringing over. Mm-hmm. He's bringing over Sean Gunn. He's bringing over Peacemaker. Like all these like characters that like he's had a hand in, or like he's like related to, like actors and stuff.
But he's also allowed to do that because he's in charge.
Exactly. It just like can sometimes rub people the wrong way because they're like, look at the privilege, look at the nepotism.
I mean, who cares if they make good projects? Why do we care?
No, yeah, exactly. But Superman, mm-hmm. I think it does.
People do get weird about that, though.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope you can't hear. There's a toddler upstairs in the background.
No, I don't hear that. As long as you can't hear Drogo as well, maybe a little bit, but
yeah, we both got chaos in the background, but we're here. We're still talking nerdy.
Yep.
But what was I going to say?
Your mic's doing a good job. The Superman's good. You liked it?
Yeah, I liked the trailer. I thought. I think for me, like we've talked about it, we had discussions mm-hmm. in the background. I think for me, I wanted a little bit more. Obviously, it's a teaser. I want to see more before I make like an opinion on like how I think the movie's going to come out. My worry for it is what I've like heard, and you know, I just don't want it to be like a Superman Guardians of the Galaxy. Like, I don't think that would work. I think that, you know, James Gunn's really good at doing those emotional beats, but he also has a lot of like slapstick humor and like a lot of that Guardians of the Galaxy humor. And I just like, I worry that Superman's going to have a lot of that joke. But if it like focuses on like the core of Superman and hope and like, you know, how to be better and, you know, how to do right in the world, you know, and just to be a hero overall, I think it'll succeed and do really well. And honestly, the DCU needs it to succeed, or else it's all going to crumble because they're on they're on thin ice.
Yeah, I mean, I think the future is bright with the DCU, just from what I've seen so far. I will say, one thing that is interesting is so I do have a theory. I think we're kind of a theory podcast, so I'll bring up a little theory and then we can move on to the next one. But you probably were saying you don't want it to be kind of like the Guardians of the Galaxy because of all the other superheroes they showed in the trailer. Is that correct?
Well, not necessarily because or there's other superheroes. It's the goofiness that's involved with Guardians. Like, I don't want that humor to be involved. I don't think like Superman's a goofball character. I think he has his funny moments and everything, you know. Sure. But I think he's more of a stoic.
So did Christopher Reeve.
Yeah, I still think he's more of a stoic character, and I just like worry that it's going to have some of that goofiness that's in Guardians, and I don't think that works. I think that works with Guardians really well. I don't think that's a Superman theme.
I'm curious. Did you feel the Guardians of the Galaxy silliness coming through the screen on the trailer?
I mean, I didn't really like the look of that big kaiju. It kind of gave some of that like silly monster look to me. And then like pictures of like that big like star or like eye creature like shooting the laser.
I don't even know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. It looked like Starro kind of, but like a different type of
Yeah,
thing.
but like I think, man, what's the name? It's like this big. It's like it eats suns, or something like that. It's like a big eyeball almost. But
I think that might be in a vision or something like that. I don't know if that's
exactly.
real.
I think that's
so there's a lot of things we don't know.
Yeah, but like a lot of those weird monsters and stuff, I'm like I get Superman's fought them before, but I want to see like Brainiac. I want to see. I like Zod.
Sure.
I think there's.
But do we need them as a first thing?
No, not necessarily. And I think they're gonna kind of have like an Ultraman type thing with the guy in the black suit, who's like supposed to be almost like a clone.
Mr. Terrific?
No, not Mr. Terrific.
Black suit. Oh, Ultraman. Sorry. Yeah,
Ultraman. Yeah, who you see him like kind of fighting in the arena. He's like pushing him.
Yep. I think there's going to be a Bizarro Ultraman. I think Ultraman is not going to be Ultraman from Earth 2. I think he's going to be Bizarro,
interesting.
But renamed Ultraman.
Okay, I think Ultraman's a really cool character, so I hope it's not Bizarro.
Yeah. Well, the only reason I say that is because I think it's going to be related to Lex Luthor.
Oh, okay.
And I think my main theory is that Superman, it's not an origin, because we've already had enough origins. We don't need another Superman origin. But this is going to be him kind of showing all other superheroes what it means to be a superhero.
Yeah.
Because he is kind of like the blueprint for what a superhero is. He's the heart. As you said, he's like that. He's the stoic guy. He's in charge.
For sure.
I think that all these other ones, if you kind of noticed in the trailer, all of them look like they are very
corporate.
They're very corporate.
Yeah.
And he's not. He's the only one that is not looking corporate. And I think he's going to show you save kids, you save people, you prove a good point, like you're truth, justice, in the American way is the original tagline of Superman. I don't know if they'll necessarily go in that exact way, but it's kind of that idea. It's like that idea of like, who Superman is. He's hope incarnate. And I think all these other superheroes need to see that. And he's going to be that kind of light. There's the other thing I'll say is I heard something that said that this is kind of going to be based on another old movie that came out. I think it's called Mr. Smith Goes to Washington.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's a movie from the 50s or so, or 60s, where this guy goes to Washington to kind of fight in like a political realm about some sort of thing. He fights for against corruption or against something. I don't know, but it's like that whole idea that he kind of gets shocked at what the world is and what it should be. And I think that's kind of where they were going with Superman with this. That's all I got for Superman.
Good person in a corrupt world. Yeah.
Yep.
And I heard it's a lot of it's based off of Kingdom Come, which is like Superman coming back to like superheroes have kind of turned darker, more like anti-heroes. They've kind of like lost their way a little bit, and he comes back and he like shows them how to be the right type of hero. But yeah, no, that's I think Superman has potential to be really good. I'm excited to see like the official trailer and to like hear like more dialogue and see how it's going to play out. But
for sure,
so we don't go on forever. What's we can shoot through some Marvel ones. We got Captain America: Brave New World, which came out this week, actually. Yeah, and that's it had a decent 3-day box office. The Rotten Tomatoes score isn't very good. The cinema score is the worst of any Marvel movie, actually, which is crazy. But I think that's more telling of like where the fandom is, which we can talk about. So that's interesting. Right. You and I haven't seen it yet, right?
No, I do plan on going to see it because I, of course, want to give my own opinion on what it actually feels like. And I think the world is still tired.
Yeah.
Ever since Endgame.
And I think we just haven't like captured that same feeling. And from what I hear, this movie just doesn't do it for people. Obviously, we'll know once we've seen it. We'll have our opinion on it. But
Right.
well, we also got Thunderbolts this year, which comes out
Thunderbolts in
May 2nd, my birthday. Let's go.
Yup.
I'm actually really excited for that because of the Sentry and the Void that are going to be the characters, the villain, and that's super exciting.
Who was playing the Sentry again?
It's from Top Gun Maverick. I don't know his name.
Oh, okay. Because wasn't at one point it going to be Stephen Ewan?
Yeah, but then he backed out of it, or they canceled that, or. But yeah, no, I think he'll be a good fit. Like, Sentry is such a cool character, and I'm excited to see him in the MCU. I think the Thunderbolts has a chance to be kind of like Suicide Squad-esque in a way.
A Marvel version.
Yeah, a little bit of a Marvel version. I think it's going to be pretty violent and dark, especially with the Void. I think there's going to be characters that die. Who knows? Maybe Red Guardian. I'm guessing Ghost dies because she doesn't look like she's in a lot of the trailer. And who knows who else dies. But anyways, I think that Thunderbolts is going to transition into something like Dark Avengers or New Avengers, which is why it has the asterisks on the name. It's a little theory of mine. I think it's a theory that a good amount of people have. But yeah, I don't know. How are you feeling about Thunderbolts?
I am feeling pretty good about it. I was just looking at the director, Jake Schreier, who is directing Thunderbolts, and he helped create the TV show on Netflix called Beef, which, if anybody's seen that, it's a very funny one-off season show. So I think that might have been where the initial rumors of Stephen Ewan or whatever came from, because he was obviously in Beef.
That has like a good action in it, right? Like
no, Beef does not have good action in it.
No, I was hearing something about like there's some coordinators that came in to like spice up the movie, but it might be a different.
Okay, no, there was one interesting scene near the end, but it was a very interesting, very funny. Both of the people were not really good people, but they made them funny and they made them relatable.
Okay,
which I think will help with something like the Thunderbolts.
Yeah, because none of them are
all
likable.
Of them are kind of like, yeah. I mean,
Winter Soldier's awesome,
but aren't likable.
Awesome, obviously.
I mean, they're likable but not likable. If that makes sense. Like, they're not the most popular superheroes.
They're not all stars.
They're not always the good guys.
Yep.
So I think this has a chance to be really good. I think I'll leave it at that, though. I kind of want to see the movie, kind of get my feet back into Marvel. Like everybody else, I'm kind of tired of it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there are some shining gems that come out from it.
Again, that's something we can discuss when we get to the state of fandoms, because I think Disney Plus has a lot to do with the fault in certain stuff. But yeah, Fantastic Four also comes out this year. So we got 3 Marvel projects this year. Fantastic Four looks pretty exciting. I'm really looking forward to that. I don't know about you.
Oh, absolutely. I'm looking so forward to this. And as some people have said, and I think I actually am tending to agree with this, if Disney Marvel was in charge or owned the IP of Fantastic Four since they got it, I think it would have been one of the first movies they would have done.
Interesting.
Which I think, well, because they're Marvel's first family. I think there's something to that. But at the same time, I'm kind of glad that it is the year 2025 that it's happening.
Yeah.
Because it allows VFX and all this CGI stuff to get better. So we're going to get some like better visual effects than some of the older Fantastic Four stuff. And I'm very excited for it. I think the only one that most people are held up on is Pedro Pascal as Reed Richards. Getting the feel of who Reed Richards is, I think that sometimes people overblow how they feel about Pedro Pascal just because he is in everything.
I was gonna say No, you can continue.
I was gonna say I think he does have the acting chops to pull it off. Unlike what some people say, oh, he just plays the same thing in every show, which I don't think is the
I
case.
hate when people say that. That drives me crazy. Like, that's such a blanket statement that doesn't mean anything. You're just like,
Right.
It's what they say about like Adam Sandler and like all sorts of actors. They're just like, oh, they're the same in every movie. And like, there's certain people that would be like, yeah, I agree, like The Rock, like the freaking Rock. But I don't think Pedro Pascal is the same in every movie. Like, I don't know, that just seems like you haven't watched his movies, because he's not the same.
Look at Game of Thrones when he was the Red Viper.
Look at
he's
Last
so much
of Us.
Different than any other role he's done.
Look at Kingsman. Like, look at all these stuff. He plays totally different characters.
Look at Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Yeah, exactly.
He was in that.
That's crazy. You're gonna find that one episode he's in.
Yo, actually, speaking of a show that might be coming back, is Buffy.
Oh, that's cool. That, I don't know. I mean, I know a YouTuber by the name of Mahler who would be very hesitant because he loves that show.
I know. I heard that. Do you know Chloe Zhao, who did the Eternals? Yeah. She's a very accomplished director. I think Eternals kind of gets crapped on because it came literally right after Endgame.
Yeah.
And how are you supposed to show up then?
No, yeah.
I think going back on it, I think that movie wasn't as terrible as some people make it out to be. I don't think it was great. I think they should have done it a little differently, but it wasn't bad. I think
it was the start of a series of unfortunate events in the Marvel catalog.
Yep.
But no, I think comparing it to like some of the movies that we got later on, yeah, no, it's not as bad.
I do think that so anyway, she's a big fan of Buffy.
Oh, cool.
And she's been pulling to do a remake or like not a remake, but a continuation, a reunion.
Okay.
And the actress who plays Buffy, just because this kind of fits in kind of TV show fandoms and stuff like that. Anyways, she is hesitant to get any shows started, but they finally heard her pitch. And she said, "Oh my gosh, this sounds like it could work." And now they're issued a pilot. So
there you go.
We'll see if that gets turned into anything.
Yeah.
But I'll stick on that. That's kind of something that's coming up in the future. What else did you have for us?
Yeah, no. Just to kind of close it out, I don't really have too much. Jurassic World Rebirth is coming out same month as Fantastic Four and Superman. So that's going to be a busy month in terms of movies, but. I think it looks all right. My issue with a lot of the Jurassic World movies, and something they talked about in the very first one, is how they created like a mutant dinosaur, and Chris Pratt's character talks about how it's like it's a dinosaur. What do you gotta like change it for? It's scary enough. They keep adding these mutants, these hybrid monsters in their movies,
right?
And I think. You can do a dinosaur horror movie without making a creepy looking monster. And especially like in this trailer, you see the monster, it looks like a xenomorph mixed with like a T-Rex mixed with like, I don't even know, like it's a Rancor maybe.
Dude, it looks
Star
like a
Wars.
Rancor, yeah.
Yeah, which I guess they got inspiration from that. But I'm just like, I think it'll be cool because I'm interested to see like, the monster, what it's like. Very different than obviously the Indominus Rex and stuff like that.
I liked what someone said that Jurassic Park movies or Jurassic World movies are kind of like zombie movies.
Oh yeah,
because like there's this survival aspect, and there's a bunch of different types of zombies that they encounter as it goes along. I mean, just look at Last of Us: clickers versus bloaters versus just the regular ones.
Oh gosh, yeah.
But it's like it's kind of interesting to think of it that way. And I mean, if you go to Resident Evil, there's like the different mutant ones that are like super strong and stuff like that. Like,
yeah,
I don't know.
I can understand that.
I get it. I get it. There's a lot of dinosaurs they could pull from, and they keep making these new ones.
And also, it's like the only dinosaur project out there. Like, there's so many different zombie things: Walking Dead, Last of Us, you name it. This is the only dinosaur universe that exists within cinematically is a thing. And so it's just like you keep creating these monsters. But I don't know. There's some people that like that aspect of like, this is what happens when humans tamper with like creation. You know, they make monsters
Trying to
and
be
stuff.
God, yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's pretty cool. And then closing out anticipated projects, you have How to Train Your Dragon, which looks
I did
like
put that on the list.
a 1-to-1 remake almost from the animation, which is good.
We'll
They
see
should.
how it does.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that they either don't make it at all or it's successful enough that they could make a remake. What I hope doesn't happen is what happened with Lion King.
Yeah.
I hope it's actually good, and it has to change something to make it fresh, but also you can't change the main story.
But also,
But
I
they
think
have to be able to add something.
yeah. Well, I think
Because
what makes
what's
it
the point
fresh.
in remaking?
I think what makes it fresh is seeing it in live action versus animation. So I'm not one of those people that's like, change the story, because the story's already fantastic. And no one's watching it because they're like, what's going to happen? You know, you're watching it because you love that property and you want to see what it looks like in live action. And I think that's what they need to do. You know, don't twist it around and change it into, you know, your own thing.
Yeah, we'll definitely see.
Yeah.
I like that Gerard Butler is still the dad, the Viking leader.
Dude, yeah, that's awesome.
Cool.
I think from what I've seen, it looks good, but yeah, who knows?
Yeah,
who knows?
We'll see.
What we also wanted to talk about, dear listener, is the state of the fandom to close out real quick. Where's everything at? Star Wars, I think, is in a pretty rocky place. Marvel is in a pretty rocky place. And yeah, so
DC's in a do or die place.
Do or die. Lord of the Rings is a little rocky with Rings of Power damaging it. Halo's been Halo shows completely ruined that potential. But
there is plenty of video game adaptations that are out there that are doing good. I even think that video games as a whole in the fandom is in a titanic shift right now. AAA games are falling out of favor compared to non AAA games. Like indie games are becoming a lot more popular.
Yeah.
AAA games, people don't want to pay the exorbitant prices that are going up.
Complete trash.
Yep. I mean, the other one that's going through a big rocky thing is the new Assassin's Creed. Shadows game is going through a pretty rocky place right now. They're hiring and firing a bunch of people.
Yeah.
Changing things up as it goes. It's just like they don't know what to do because the public is not happy with how video games are going. And what's the point in buying a $90 to $100 game when you can easily go and buy a $15 game that you can get hundreds of hours
Yeah, I mean, my favorite games of last year were Helldivers 2 and Lethal Company. Those were the best games last year, easily. And those are both like not very big studios. Obviously, Arrowhead Games is a lot bigger now because of everything with Helldivers. The success. But like, I mean, look at that. That Helldivers 2 was $40, and Lethal Company was what, like 20, or is it less?
Yeah. And do you know what the craziest thing is? Lethal Company. It actually came out in 2023.
Okay.
In just like the few months that it was out, it was like the second highest grossing game of the year.
Yeah.
And it was ahead of most AAA games. Like only one other game was ahead of it, I think. It made $50 million.
That's crazy.
And one guy made it. And then Balatro came out this last year. Also a solo developer created a game that was on the ticket for Best Game of the Year at the Game Awards. It did not win, but the fact that a single developer got his game on the Best Game of the Year docket in the Oscars of video games is crazy.
That's insane.
But yeah, sorry to divulge into video games too much, but Star Wars.
Yeah. I was going to say Star Wars is interesting because it's like been such a steady decline since the sequels. And it's just unfortunate to see it in the way that it is. And I have a video coming out on my channel kind of talking about like what I want to do for my channel, if I want to stick to Star Wars or cover some other projects, other fandoms as well. But that's for later. What I will say is like Like, I mean, if you look at Skeleton Crew, the most recent TV show, lowest viewership of any live action TV show, and even lower than The Acolyte, which was very divisive and had the lowest viewership before that. So it seems like each show has lower and lower viewership. I think they struck gold with Mandalorian season 1 and then 2, and 3 kind of fell off a little bit in terms of viewership compared to before. But that had to do with like Book of Boba Fett also doing damage, Obi-Wan Kenobi doing damage. I just like, it's really unfortunate because I think this all ties back to Disney Plus, and same with Marvel. It's too much content, like, for the fan. I think it's diluting. I think that it turns into more of a content machine, like they're like a YouTube channel or something, pumping out videos, pumping out seasons and TV shows, and they really just need to hunker down and work on like a few good projects that really get fans interested. And then if they nail it with those shows or movies, like, keep going with that. Don't like create something new. Don't like forget about it. And then, like, I mean, look at Marvel with like Shang-Chi. That was a very popular movie. It made them a lot of money. It has no where's the second one? Where's the sequel?
I think it's in the works.
It's in the works now, but how many years ago was that? That was like 2019, right?
2019?
Yeah. That's insane. That's insane to me.
Yeah, it was also after Endgame.
Yeah, so it's just, I think Disney Plus has a lot to do with it, because obviously they're trying to create their originals. They're trying to keep people subscribed to their service. But I think it's done some serious damage to Star Wars. And, you know, I'm hopeful that maybe some other projects do well. I think Tales of the Jedi was really good. I think Andor Season 2 looks really solid from what I've heard. And I think The Mandalorian and Grogu has potential in theaters as well. So obviously we'll see. Right. I think Star Wars needs multiple successes and a lot of discussion in pop culture to make a comeback and to be the big name that it is. But yeah, what do you think?
Yeah, I can't. I think the last show that I watched that was Star Wars related was Mandalorian season 3, and I only watched the first half of the season. The last episode I watched was the one with Jack Black in it.
Oh yeah, Mandalorian season 3. Yep.
I will say I really like Bo-Katan as a character, so I didn't mind that kind of switch. But at the same time, like, I will say, Lizzo and Jack Black tanked that episode, and it made me not want to watch again. Unfortunately,
100%.
The beginning of the season seemed very promising with that whole coven on that planet and the different monsters that they had out there. I think there was some cool stuff. I think, as a fandom as a whole, I think Star Wars has declined a big part because they moved away from movies.
Yes, that's something
I think that shows are fine.
Wholeheartedly agree with.
Yeah, they are built for kind of a short movie. I mean, even the shows put as a movie are fine. They're about the length of a movie, of a long movie nowadays, like 2.5 to 3.5 hours.
What's pretty cool is I've seen like some fan edits where they clip out a bunch of stuff and they like compile it into like a movie length. They did that with Obi-Wan Kenobi and Ahsoka.
I'm sure it was great.
It's just, it's like 2.5 hours and it's like movie length. It's perfect. And that's like a thing that they did because of Disney Plus, and also because of like Solo tanking at the box office. They moved away from doing movies, so we lost out on a trilogy of Obi-Wan Kenobi movies. We lost out on a Book of Boba Fett movie, and I've heard like the script, like the first drafts for the Obi-Wan trilogy or whatever, and it sounded amazing and it sounded fantastic. And we didn't get that. We got like bits and pieces in the TV show, but they also brought in completely new writers than the original writer, and they just completely like inserted like random characters that they made. It's just it's a whole thing.
We don't have to talk in length about those stuff, but what I will say as well is an unfortunate thing is that they took oh gosh, what was I going to say? I was talking about Mandalorian. I was going to talk about Andor.
Yeah.
I think what's interesting about Andor, compared different than any other ones, because Andor's my favorite Disney Star Wars show that they've made. I think it could even work as a non-Star Wars project.
Yeah, I think so.
I think if they put it in a different sci-fi universe, it still works.
I think that was one of my issues with it, truthfully.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, yeah, fair enough. But like, I've been rewatching some of the monologues that Stellan Skarsgård does for it. And I'm like, how did that man not win an Oscar?
It's because the Oscars and like they don't take a lot of these nerdy things seriously.
I mean, the line, I am fighting for a sunrise I'll never see.
Yeah.
It's over. Yeah. But yeah, anyways, I mean, I never watched, but unfortunately, a lot of Star Wars things I didn't even watch, and they ruined some things for me, like the Plagueis reveal.
Oh yeah.
Guess what? Now you just ruined my favorite character in all of Star Wars
by putting him in the Acolyte. Like, are you kidding me?
or not even just that, they put him in a disservice.
Yeah, they're like, here he is,
clutching the rock,
like lurking
or whatever.
around.
Like, what are you talking about?
Dude is like the Sith, like the prominent Sith of his time. He doesn't lurk. He stands there and he's like powerful. Yeah. Like he is like,
dude, he's in the middle of like banking meetings, like just
he's in the background
like,
of like some of the biggest like corporations and governments.
He trained Palpatine on how to be the Chancellor. Like, and look at how I think that's another thing that just gets muddled because they bring too many people in. They don't have the coalesced vision.
Yep.
I think even with Dave Filoni being at the top, I think it spreads it too thin. Marvel is a little different in where it survives on a lot of different characters because of a lot of different comic books.
Yeah.
Star Wars survives because of George Lucas's vision.
Yeah.
And even if he's not there anymore, it's still his vision. There's nothing like comic books to go off of. I mean, there is comic books. That's not what I'm saying. But like, it's still his vision.
I think the Star Wars universe, like the George Lucas Star Wars universe, is what fans love and those characters that exist in it. And Marvel is like a conglomeration of characters that make up that universe, that make that universe interesting. And their fight to be like heroes and them fighting villains is what is interesting. Whereas Star Wars is like a completely fantastical universe that you can escape into. It's a sci-fi fantasy, you know? And I think a lot of these shows and a lot of these projects are just missing that that feeling. And you know, I think that same issue with like Lord of the Rings. I think a lot of these like corporations like Disney, Amazon, they get a hold of these big name projects because they want to bring the fans over, they want the viewership, they want to make money, obviously, in the long run. And they just don't put any heart and soul into the productions. And it's just kind of a bummer. I think that there is hope in terms of these projects. You know, I think they have to climb out of the hole that they've dug for themselves, and they have to have a lot of successes before we can say, oh, we're back. Like, we're back. But I think there's also burgeoning projects like or universes like Warhammer 40K.
I was gonna say, we haven't even mentioned something like that.
Yeah,
there's a chance for a fandom to be fully realized on the TV screen and possibly movie screen with Henry Cavill at the charge of it. Now, it's still a part of Hollywood, and those executives are still going to affect what happens.
Get their grubby fingers on it.
We just hope it doesn't turn out like Witcher did with poor Henry Cavill, because you know, Henry Cavill is a staunch fandom enjoyer of all of these things: Witcher, Star Wars, Marvel, DC, all of these things. He's just like a nerd like any one of us, and he cares about these projects a lot, and it's a unique position to be in. Hopefully he can deliver something awesome for us.
And what I think is a little different with Warhammer is the company itself is so protective of its lore and IP. And with Henry Cavill,
at the same time, they can make
with Henry Cavill too doing it, I think that they're in a good position to, like, they're not going to work with Amazon or like whoever if they're going to disrespect their baby, which is Warhammer. And so I think there is a lot of good potential, and especially if it's just like secret levels, if it's like a Astartes or even Astartes 2, which had its trailer come out recently. If it's anything like those projects, it's going to be a success. There's going to be people that flock to it. I've already seen like an increase of like Warhammer content because of Secret Level and the Warhammer episode. But yeah, I don't know. I just kind of wanted to, I think it was cool to talk about what we've seen and what we've enjoyed and what we're looking forward to, but also to like reflect on like, like nerdy culture is in a weird position right now. Things are rocky.
And I will say, we kind of talked about it earlier. Streaming services as a whole has hurt these fandoms.
Yes, exactly.
Because if we didn't have the streaming services, if we just had movie theaters, if we had it in a certain way, maybe it wouldn't have worked, but I think it would have worked better than what it's doing right now. Because like Marvel was built on that, Star Wars was built on that, DC was built on that. I also think that Marvel being successful ruined what DCEU was initially.
Yeah, because then DCEU was just trying to be Marvel.
Yeah, and so if James Gunn can do it in a different way, that could be good. Warhammer, since it's being built by this, and Amazon's pretty big, hopefully that'll work out. We'll see. And then Invincible has done good, but it unfortunately was kind of curtailed by some scheduling conflicts, which made a lot of fans not want to watch it. But animation takes time, so you kind of have like to give a give or take there. Animation, even with season 3 being as good as it is, there's scenes in season 3 that does not look good. Unfortunately.
And what's so funny is going off on that, season 2 has that episode where the artist or the like comic book creator even talks about like the animation and how like they'll use still images in between that are just like panning and have like voiceover, so you think that it's like it's trickery, like they do that on purpose. But what I was gonna say is what we have to hope for is that they're losing money. Like a lot of these companies are losing money because they're not taking care of these projects, and that's what they care about the most. And so what could very well happen is they can start putting more effort into the quality of the writing and the storytelling. And if they do that and they make solid, tight projects, we could be back with Star Wars and Marvel. But if not, then we have Warhammer to look forward to, and video games, like you were saying, like the smaller.
The future
fans.
is still, it still has light on the horizon. We just have to kind of get through the rest of these kind of lowest points that we've got to with a lot of these places.
Yeah, and I think in terms of Marvel projects, I think Brave New World is one of those projects that came out that was developed during the pandemic era of movie planning and production. And I think we're getting towards the end. I think Thunderbolts and even Fantastic Four look very promising for Marvel, and so we could be looking at a new age of Marvel projects, especially with like Doomsday and Secret Wars coming out in the far future, and then Superman for the DCU. Who knows? We could be getting a shift, but maybe that fatigue will linger. I think they need to dial it back still a little bit on the TV show side of things, the streaming side, I should say.
For sure.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I think we've talked about a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I think this is
going
good.
For an hour and 20 minutes. Who knows what this will look like when it goes up, when it'll go up.
Yeah.
But I'm excited. I'm excited to kind of talk about this stuff. It was good.
It was good to get out here and discuss this. And then, we'll throw our links to our channels on YouTube and Twitch. Taylor will put his letterbox in there as well. You can join my Discord too if you want to hang out and talk with. It's a small but growing Discord server, so come by, hang out, and talk Star Wars or what have you.
Yeah, hope you enjoyed Unknown Theories returning from the unknown regions back
Yeah.
to known space.
Yeah. Here we are. We're here now.
Uh,
We've been
we're
rebooted.
back.
We're back and better
Yep.
than
We
ever.
came back like
Older and
Thrawn.
wiser than before.
Oh, well, yeah, sweet. Yeah,
Awesome.
I am Taylor,
I am
and
Kris.
I think we're gonna shoot off into another theory for next time.
Yeah, let's get out of here.
All right.
Adios.
Adios.